All right, let's go to the second one. Here's the second one. This is on Queer Heathen, who posted this on, is that Instagram or is it Reddit? I don't even remember. I just looked around on a few different things and took screenshots. So anyway, is that, you guys would know, that's probably Instagram, right? I don't know. I hate all the platforms. So this one says it has a picture of Zeus and then who is that? Hades, from the cartoon characters from like Disney cartoons. It says, why is it so unreasonable to ask for verifiable proof of your God's existence? If I demanded that you obey Zeus as the one true God, wouldn't you be asking for the same proof? And this is actually a very reasonable accusation for anyone who offers no proof. You catch that? This is a very reasonable accusation against any religious group that offers zero evidence or zero proof. But Christianity is definitely not one of those groups. So Christianity, this has been from the core. This is not some new apologist trick of the 21st century. This is from the beginning, from the first century on. The evidence for the truth of Christianity was a large number of important different things. So one of them would have been the very resurrection of Christ himself. This was strong evidence for the truth of Christianity. If Jesus in fact died and did rise again, then that was proof of Christianity. We don't have, generally speaking, with these other religions, we don't have historical claims that are at the foundation of the religion. So for instance, like say Buddhism doesn't really depend on the truth of any particular historical claims, especially ones that can have evidence to support them. But Christianity has a number of lines of evidence. So we have evidence for the existence of God himself, like the cosmological arguments plural. These are philosophical arguments that are taken very seriously, even by atheist philosophers, at least decent ones. And you have things like the fine-tuning argument from the nature of the universe being fine-tuned in a few different aspects, not only in hundreds of different ways, but fine-tuned for the existence of the universe the way it is, but also fine-tuned for the existence of life that's intelligent and that can observe the universe. This seems a huge anomaly that needs an explanation because it implies purposefulness in the nature of the universe. Now, would Zeus explain that? Would Zeus be able to borrow the evidence that we're using for God, for like the ultimate God of all? No, he wouldn't, because Zeus is subsequently part of the creation. He's not the actual creator, so he can't use these sort of omni-style arguments for evidence for Zeus. What about prophecy? We have prophecy in the Old Testament, prophecy in the New Testament. We have a book that catalogs, or books that catalog events that go back thousands of years, but we also have extra biblical verification of those things, both in the prophetic realm and in the historic realm. These things are important. And a Christian, of course, even if a Christian is ignorant of these things, and in an online conversation, they don't know how to communicate that stuff, because maybe, and here's a possibility I would want the atheist to at least consider. Just hypothetically, let's say that an individual had what at least seems to them to be a very genuine encounter with the living God through Jesus Christ, through faith in Christ. They've really, as far as they can tell, they've truly, really encountered God and their life has been transformed. At least you'd say for them, that's really good evidence. It'd be hard to prove to you, right? That would be another step, trying to prove to you that you should believe based on their experience. But at least they would seem to have good evidence, even if they don't know anything about prophecy, anything about things like cosmological arguments or evidence from creation for the existence of God, which both philosophy and the Bible talks about. Even if they didn't have any of that stuff in their minds, they would seem to have good justification for their beliefs. It'd be difficult for them to prove it to you. And so I think that's why when encountering others, I like to go to those things. And if you look at the book of Acts, the apostles consistently throughout the book of Acts, they use these different arguments. They use arguments from creation to the creator, and they use arguments from the existence and person, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus to the truthfulness of Christianity. What I'm saying here is that the New Testament apostles were also, in a sense, apologists, very much fit for their time. When they went to a Jewish audience, they used certain apologetics. When they went to a Gentile audience, it was a little different, right? But the evidence side of things weighs very heavily in favor of Christianity. So here's the bottom line. If you're an atheist and you think this is a good objection to Christianity, I want to challenge you that maybe you haven't looked very clearly at the mountain of evidential claims there are towards Christianity. And if your response, I can feel it right now, that many watching would say their response to this is, there's no evidence, Mike. You pretend there's evidence. There's zero evidence. There's none, zip, zilch, zero, nada. That is a blanket denial, but it's a denial that flies in the face of even like the consensus of philosophers, historians. Like, you're living in your own private Idaho with that kind of claim. There's a lot of evidence that you should take very seriously. In addition, we can even talk about miraculous claims that are related to Christianity. Craig Keener has written a couple books on this called Miracles that you might consider. He starts with philosophical stuff about miracles, but then he goes into specific accounts and different types of evidence that can be used to support those claims. What we're saying is we're talking past each other, because in the atheist communities, we'll often have them saying, there's zero evidence for Christianity, zero, zero, zero. And then we'll have Christians going, here's evidence, here's evidence, here's evidence, here's evidence. And then they're just like, nah, that's not evidence. Obviously, this isn't where thinking takes place. This is just where name calling ends up happening.